Hello, Friar Town. Really excited to have everybody join us today. Every year we host a season ticket holder party around this time of year. We're going to be moving that to September. And in talking with K-Mac, we came up with this idea. Want to give you a little insight to the upcoming year. Appreciate all you do. And Kevin Mack, appreciate your love of the Friars and being a great partner and helping us come up with this great idea to give a little insight to our fans.
Well, there were too many calls to you guys and to Coach English to talk about all these crazy changes, not only with your program, but in the industry, that we can get everyone together and get the season ticket holders involved as well. Steve, I actually want to start with you. You've talked an awful lot about the house settlement that is in the works, hopefully getting closer. And my question really is where Providence wants to be in that space. We know that revenue sharing is about to come in. It's a huge step, dramatic change step in the college basketball world.
Yeah, we're waiting hopefully any day. Judge Wilkin approves the settlement so we know the exact details. But, I was on a board of trustee meeting this morning, and we are going to be as aggressive as possible to compete at the highest level. We understand this new model of college athletics. You truly have a professional model, which where you look at Providence College, we're looking at men's basketball, women's basketball, men's ice hockey, and a collegiate model. And we don't create the rules, but as an institution, as an athletic director, from Father Sakar, John Sweeney, and our board of trustees, we're going to do everything we can to give Coach English, Coach Bath, and Coach Lehman the resources they need to compete for Big East national championships, and we're committed to do that at the highest level.
And I know you two are both, I assume, together at the Big East meetings just last week. Any news out of the Big East? I'm sure they're excited about the season you just had and the future. Maybe both.
Yeah, I need to have much better bench decorum.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to be locked into that. So
okay.
That was a good takeaway.
All right. Okay. Well, I think we know where you're going with that.
We have a list.
But by the way, you're not alone with excitable Big East head coaches. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's a couple of them.
There's a couple.
No, I think the Big East, I had the great opportunity to be the chair for the athletic directors in the Big East, and with everything going on in this landscape, to be part of a conference that wants to be great. And you sit around the room. I think Coach and I had a great conversation during and after the meetings that we, as a member of the Big East, want to win the Big East. And we have that commitment. We talk about that. But, what makes the conference great, you talk about the schools in there that have the same goals. You're looking at the UConns, the St. John's, the Creightons, the Marquettes. I mean, you have the power names in college basketball, and that's what makes this so special. And we look forward to this upcoming year.
All right, great. Let's talk about the Friars. Coach, last year you had the first chance, well, really second chance, to attack that transfer portal. Curious what the difference was this time around versus 12 months ago.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest difference, in going into it was the information gathering. We really dug deeper and when we dug deep, the first time around, we feel like we really dug deeper. But one of the huge things we did this season was the involvement and integration of our current guys, guys that were on our team, and have those guys reach out to teammates of the guys we were going after, and AAU teammates, and we got those guys talking and meeting, and we started a bond between our incoming guys and our current guys that wasn't quite there the last time. Using all of our software, our data that analyzes prospects, there was a notable difference in the, how should I say it, high-level production of
sure.
these guys. Yeah, but not just production at the highest level, at a level that's comparable to the Big East. So there's a little less guessing, or not guessing, I shouldn't say guessing. There's less, and I always struggle with whatever this word is I'm trying to say.
It's kind of a leap of faith.
It's that, it's less of, it's less of a projection.
Yep.
That's the word. Thank you. It's less of a projection when you see what Jason Edwards or Jalen Sellers or Daquan Davis or Duncan Powell did in the SEC, Big 12, or ACC. And our model, actually, our system really rates the ACC as a tier 2 league, which we don't agree with. We rate the ACC as just as high as us. Those guys checked out as high-level Big East players, which we're excited about.
The landscape certainly has changed. It's really more like the NBA. We're grooming you.
Worse.
There
is not.
That's true.
There is not annual free agency for every player in the NBA.
Good point. That said, I'm curious. So you have a budget. You have some holes to fill. You have a season to coach. And yet, whenever the season ends, it has to totally switch so quick. Or are you doing some research on potential movement during the season?
Well, we have a big staff that does a lot of work. Obviously, we watch a lot of college basketball. We obviously recruit kids that aren't playing at another place, or we recruit kids that go to a lower level who are playing well. And, we don't, condone it, but people are reaching out to you in season about players and possible players. So you kind of, on the side, in the back room, you have a potential list of guys, but you don't know what, right now, we don't know what our needs are going to be next spring.
Sure.
We don't know the attrition. We don't know the NBA maturation of our roster. We do know who's graduating. We do know that, but it's nothing else like it. Free agency in the NBA, you can track it 4 years in advance. This is given to us by the NCAA with absolutely no guardrails. So we do still believe in retention as a crucial part of it. And we're so thankful to Corey Floyd, Richard Barron, Nilavun Jotham Daniels, Oswin Averse, Ryan Mila, the guys we have coming back, the freshmen that we know coming in, and we're also excited about our new group.
Yeah, solid core there, more than half your roster, really, with returnees and the two freshmen. How about budget? Again, I'm thinking NBA, but you're right. It's a totally different budget, because if you have whatever the number is, and Jalen Sellers is the first to commit. He wasn't, but just for example, that changes your budget as you go forward. How'd you juggle that?
Well, I'll say this, Nat, and without giving too much, this is not public information, but Nat, Father Sicard, John Sweeney, some of our most generous donors stepped up in a major way. And I'll say this, money is never the reason we didn't get a kid. But we want kids that want to be at Providence for something a lot more than money. That's really important to me.
Okay. Yep.
Because I have to sit and look at Ernie D and Joe Hassett and Kevin Stakem and Ryan Gomes and Jamel Thomas at our practices and games, and I know how broke we all were in college and how much the name on the front of the jersey mattered to those guys, how much it matters to the people of Rhode Island, the city of Providence. So our college has done an incredible job giving us exactly what we need to build a team that will compete for a Big East title. And all of Friartown should be proud. And a lot of people on this call, thank you to you, as well for your support, because every cent matters to the building of this group.
Yeah, Steve, maybe you can address the season ticket holders. What type of renewal rate are you guys at? Is there still a wait list? I know there's been a wait list in the past, but that money is obviously really important.
Yeah, I think Kim said it well. Our gratitude and appreciation for our fans and donors, there's no words that we can express. Obviously after a difficult season, not many fan bases stick with their teams like the Friar Town did. And, 96% renewal rate. We have over 2,000 people on the wait list. You can't fill all those tickets. When you talk about what you need to do in this landscape of raising money for programs, for revenue share now, we're doing it at an elite level. What I really love in working in my chair is watching Coach and his staff, Kevin. What's really critical is as we're learning in a system that's changing, their strategic plan going into this portal season had a real focus. They knew what they wanted. Coach knew what players he wanted. And we had to make sure that we had the resources to support that plan. And Friartown stepped up, as Kim said, from all parties involved.
And it's not just the money. Again, like I said, these kids aren't making. Some are. Our guys aren't. A lot of the guys we're involved with just aren't going to the highest bidder. So you ask what is, and what we still have to sell is an incredible home court environment. Every game, that's what players want to play in front of. The feel, the emotion, the vibes they get from our fans, our students, our alumni, our donor base is very real, and it absolutely helps us in recruiting.
Kim, retention, you've talked about even last year how important it was, and you did retain a core. You told a story earlier about Corey Floyd and his decision to remain here at Providence, if you can tell people that. And also, I'm curious how the conversations went with Oswin, who I would imagine after his freshman year, he had some options.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And it's like you can't even get mad at the kid, right? I mean, colleges are recruiting our players all season.
Right.
Some are actually reaching out to players. They're talking to the players' representatives or agents, and that information might get back to the players in season, which is so unproductive. How does that helping you, right? But again, it's what the NCAA gave us with no guardrails. They're not policing tampering, so we have to fight for their hearts and minds every second of every day, because when they leave this building, sometimes when they're still in the building, people are in their ears. So yeah, but Oswin's committed. He wants to be at this place. He had a promising freshman season. One of our most promising players. You could argue the guys, that we have obviously Rich struggled coming off of his shoulder.
Sure.
He was getting his way, got the concussion. But, Mila, Oswin, and Corey, you could say were our three most productive guys, most efficient guys. And for Corey, what I shared earlier was this is going to be my 10th or 11th season coaching college basketball. I've never, ever, when a player has told me he's wanting to transfer, I have never said anything other than, good luck, I love you. Corey told me he was thinking about it. And it's the only time in my career I got up, I walked around my table, and I shut the door. And I said, no, you're not. Because he's everything that's right about college basketball. He's his family. He's everything that's right about Providence College. His father wore this jersey. His father bled and sweat and cried for this uniform just like he has. He's going to have a place to come back to 20 years later and show his kids, just like I do at the University of Missouri. And Chris Dunn, who just got done working out, will have here for the rest of his life, and so many other players. And that is the beauty of college basketball. It's not the free agency. I don't know what the number would have been for me to feel good about transferring and not having a place to go back to and call home.
Sure.
This is it. Singular, home, singular. And the Richard Barons, the Ryan Milas, the Oswin Arunses, Jameer Jones, Jalen Harrell, Stephen Vox, the guys that this is all they know. I'm protecting that with my life, that they are gonna have that one day.
With one big, what do I have? One big, two off guards, and two wings returning, roughly. It was clear you needed a little bit of everything out of the transfer portal. You landed and 0 point guards really in that returning group. And you landed 2, Daquan Davis and Jason Edwards. Maybe you can just tell people a little bit about those 2 really important additions.
Yeah. Jason Edwards is a scoring point guard. Daquan Davis is a scoring defensive point guard. Stephen Vox can play the point, and he's a really, obviously he can shoot, but he really, really is a good passer. But as we watched our season, as we watched the last 2 seasons, and as the recruiting was, you're recruiting guys, you miss guys, you move on. As this thing was happening, we kept, and as we wanted to size up where we could, as we kept coming back to it, Corey Floyd had a lot of really good point guard moments for us. He played 40 minutes against Georgia 2 years ago without Jaden Pierre or Garway Dual to a win against an SEC team. He got to the free throw line for us. The most on our team wasn't a high rate compared to some others, but he was one of our best assist creators to Oswin in ball screens. But because he's big, because he has big hands, but as talking to him this offseason, Corey's going to play a lot of point for us. He's going to play a lot of point, and he has the right mindset of exactly what we want to get to the rim, where he obviously can finish, but the focus and mindset to spray it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Jason will play the 1, Daquan will play the 1, Steph will play the 1, but Corey Floyd will see a heavy dose of minutes at the point.
And I'm sure offensive production, some more pop, scoring the ball was a priority. You mentioned Jason, but also Jalen Sellers. And for people who aren't familiar with him, really didn't play last year, just a handful of games, and then he hurt his back. He was
believe. Recovering from a back injury, and then it re-injured.
Got it. What stood out with him?
Well, when talking to him, obviously his game. The game is the easiest part. It's the first thing you see. It's the easiest thing. And then once you see the game and you like the game on film, then you go into the numbers deep down. What's the numbers say beneath the numbers? What's he do against quad 1 comp? How is he? We watch his worst moments. We watch his turnovers. We watch his fouls. We watch his misses. And if we can still like a kid after all that, then we dive in. But Jaylen, when we sat down and talked to him, he has a seriousness about himself that really jives with me in the way I am. And I think when I think Josh Oduro, when I think Devin Carter, when I think Jaden Springer and Keon Johnson, players that I've had ticket games the most success with, it's when our level of seriousness and professionalism match. Mm-hmm. And Jaylen's a dog. He's a dog. He has great athleticism, speed, pop, talent, scoring. But, he also has a new baby boy, mm-hmm. which adds to a level of seriousness and focus and locked-inness that I'm really excited about him. Tough as nails, Columbus, Georgia native. I think our fans are going to love Jaylen.
What was the connection? Any staff connection or player connection?
Corey Wright was the first one to bring his name up. Mm-hmm. And but during the portal, it's 50 names a day.
Right.
So it's a lot of video. And we watched the video, we liked the video, and we went all in right away. And it came down to the wire.
Size. I guess there's a foreign player you mentioned in the mix as well. Oswin is your only returning big guy. Are you big enough? Do you think you're big enough? And talk about that front court.
Yeah, well, we're going to play a lot differently. We're going to play a lot. I don't want to divulge too much things, but the way we defend mostly and the pace to which we get to offense is going to be different. So we really don't want big lumbering guys out there. We love Cole Hargrove's versatility. His size, he's strong, he's chiseled.
6'8"?
6'8", 6'9", but he's chiseled and strong and a great vertical athlete, long arms. Oswin obviously has size, and he's going to put on weight this summer and grow and take a jump. And then, but what we're really excited about is, the opportunities for Duncan Powell, who has great size and physicality and strength, who will obviously be our 4 majority of the time, but can absolutely slide to the 5. You know, it's similar to the way we use Bryce at the 5. And I think of what we were so excited about having Bryce was, you know, last season was what it looked like against BYU when he is out there at the 5, 4 shooters around him. It's a really fun offensive system. So we'll have those opportunities. We want to stay healthy. We need to stay healthy. We think that I think Nap's wife got some sage. Didn't she say we're going to sage? I'm going to
Multiple sages,
we're
Kev.
gonna
Everyone's locker? Is that the trick?
Everything,
We're
Kev,
going to be
everything.
healthy.
Okay.
We're going to be healthy, and it's going to get me to church more. And if we stay healthy,
It's a church right
we
up
feel
campus,
good.
right
I go
around the
to
corner.
the chapel,
Okay.
7 a.m. chapel,
Right.
sometimes at the Priory.
Hey, fill us in on the schedule a little bit. I understand the non-conference schedule is close, and there's a wrinkle this year, maybe a couple trips to Mohegan Sun.
Yeah, well, season ticket holders for the next 3 years. That's Comic-Con at the Amp, the first weekend of the opening open week of the season. So
Like November.
yeah, the first play week.
Got it.
This year, that first Monday is November 3rd. That's our first game. That Saturday, that weekend for the next 3 years, we won't be home. So we'll have to be creative. Mohegan Sun is an incredible partner. And we didn't play well there this past year in the first half. We played really well in the second half against Bonnie's. But you could feel the energy in the place. One game against Penn State I know has been announced. There's another. I don't know if that's been announced yet. We'll play another high-level opponent at Mohegan. We're going to Colorado. We're going to San Diego with a 2-game event with Wisconsin, Florida, and Texas Christian.
Oh, the national champs.
National champs and another really good team in Wisconsin this past year. TCU always tough. Jamie Dixon, Big East fans know. And then URI at home. And a bunch of other really good games like Holy Cross. Don't start forgetting, Holy Cross November 3rd. All
right, I have to ask this because I get the question all the time, and the answer has been the same for 40 years. I'm sure you pick up the phone and call your friends. They don't want to play at Providence.
No,
correct?
Providence is not. Well, I had to get one of my friends to play at Providence, Colorado. One of my closest friends, Tab Boyle, obviously Nate Thomason played there. That's his alma mater. We got a home and home with them because Providence is a really difficult place to play. That's why I was a fan of the challenges, the Gavitt games, the Big 12 challenge. I love it because it guaranteed us 2 really good games in the Amp. No, teams aren't knocking down the door to play in the Amp.
Steve, any conversations at Big East meetings about those scheduling alliances? I know Val Ackerman, the commissioner, talks about that frequently, and I agree with Kim to have pencil those 2 in. It's a huge advantage.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of conversation, Kev. I think with, conference expansion, reduction in games is, that's the challenge, the SECs, the Big Tens, and the Big 12s. But we're going to be aggressive. We want to continue to try. As it's not from a lack of trying, Kev. It's, as Coach just said, is getting teams that want to come to the Amp. And we'll continue, as Kim said, we're going to play another ACC opponent at Mohegan Sun. That gives us an opportunity for our fans to go there. And Mohegan Sun's been a great partner, Kev, in this new revenue share, name, image, and likeness world. Is they're able to do things for us that make it attractive to play there as well.
So would that be one less game at the Amp, or it's just kind of maybe instead of another road game, it's at Mohegan?
Yeah, we're doing it more as another road game. We want to make sure that our season ticket holders get a full schedule at the Amp, and that consists of exhibition games and obviously non-conference games. But we're very sensitive to make sure that the support we get from our season ticket holders, that they get a full slate. And remember, the URI game is something that we do is a huge part of the rivalry in this state. But that is a game that look at is it's one at home and away that's part of the non-conference schedule.
No, one of the toughest tickets for sure. A couple more, Coach. The freshmen, I guess it's 4. 2 were committed for a long time, and then the 2 Europeans. Instant, I know it's unfair, instant impact. Do you see opportunity for all of them?
Yeah, I never know. I'd say this to everyone. I've never, in my 4 years coaching, I've played walk-ons. in big games and big moments.
Mm-hmm.
I've played freshmen in big games and big moments. I had a coach used to say to me, he said, "I'm a deaf coach," meaning that like he only can go on what he sees every day in practice. And if our freshmen, which they very well can, I expect them to compete for rotational minutes. They will. I mean, you want to say older guys, whatever, if they don't bring it every day, they can be overtaken. And I'm excited for that summer. And when we couldn't have that consistency last season, and it bled into us not being able to have a consistent rotation last season because nothing was earned in blood and sweat. And that's the way it usually is. We lost a player, last season because, Joshua Duro just earned that spot in blood and sweat, and it was his.
Mm-hmm.
And someone wanted to kind of have it, but I don't give nothing. I don't give nothing.
Have to play your best players, right?
And that's it.
Yeah.
The most.
Yeah.
Best player is going to play the most,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone else fit into a role. It starts with defense.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to an NBA coach this morning, and every program has a different terminology for it, but a lot of it starts with defense. He said that his team calls them pigeons if it's a bad defensive player out. And he said, as the playoffs go on, he said, you don't see any more pigeons on the court. And I said, yeah, because they're on the bench or on the beach right now. And it's the same in college. As the season gets deeper, players that can't guard, the players that don't execute, they're not out there as much. So it's a great onus for our guys this summer, starting with Sean on Tuesday, to get in as best physical condition as they can possibly get in and be ready for battle, because we're going to have some really good practices this summer and fall.
We have some questions from the season ticket holders. Frank from Cranston wants to know, of course, they always want to know about recruiting, Coach. That's how it is. Mm-hmm. Where you guys are with, I guess it would be the class of 26. And in this new world, do you recruit fewer? Well, I guess is the pool smaller is how we phrased it.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is smaller. The pool used to be, just 5 years ago, you used to have let's say it is the class of 2026. It would be your top guys. You go after your top guys, and then you'd have your backups. And then you even have your backups. And if you got to the fall and you didn't get your top guy, man, you go all in on I was a backup. I was a backup option at Missouri. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get that guy, you go to no more of that. In this era, you go after your top guys. And if you don't get your top guys, unless it's someone that you really believe in as a long-term project, we tend to wait. Mm-hmm. To wait into the spring, because in the spring, if you want to get a freshman, you can still get a freshman.
Sure.
You can get, you may lose a proven guy. So it is, I mean, this season, the national championship game was the first game in 30 years that there wasn't a freshman log a minute in the national championship game, Florida-Houston. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely changing. But again, this is the NCAA gave us this with no regulations, and unintended consequence of 5 years of total free agency is a huge hit to high school recruiting.
Mm-hmm. John from the Attleboroughs is curious about the Friars, and their defensive efficiency fell off last year.
It did.
Can you maybe speak to that and how you can change it around?
Yeah, we went from 16th in defense to really bad in defense, maybe 100. And it was, man, I can't tell you what I really think.
I'm going to interrupt for a second because I've obviously covered Kim for a couple of years. Defensive breakdowns bother you the most, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
Yes. Lack of focus, lack of toughness, and selfishness bother me the most. But I'll say a lot of it came down to our size this season. And honestly and truthfully, our lack of size, and honestly, my stubbornness to adjust to that. There's a thin line in coaching between, if we're not doing something right, do we need to do it better or do we need to do it differently? And so it was two. I'll take all the blame. Our defensive faults were because of me and my stubbornness to adjust to the personnel we had in that season.
So because you're bigger and more athletic, that should translate to the defense you'd like to play.
We'll play differently on defense this season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Steve, anything else? What do we got? We got about 5 more minutes.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing just to take of why we like doing this stuff is our fans are critical, Kev, and everything. I think what Coach said, one of the things when I sit down with a student athlete, even when Coach brought Jason Edwards by, is, you know, he was bringing up to me to watch the highlights of what goes on at the AMP and watching games, is you realistically are seeing the holistic approach of what Friartown does to want to be successful at the highest level. So as we continue, is every person who touches this program makes an impact. So on behalf of Coach and I and everybody at this institution, is we're grateful. We can't thank them enough. We got to continue to push everybody because every dollar makes a difference. The passion, them coming out to everything is going to be critical in this new world, Kev. Mm-hmm. The financial impact of how we can compete at the highest level is real. That's not just speak, but Coach can tell you, being at the Big East meetings, talking to fellow ADs, talking to fellow coaches, this is real. Everybody's competing in this world. Right now, we're doing at a high level, but the sustainability models that we want to put together, this is a long-term play, and we want to be good and build a successful program for years to come.
You know, Kim, last year, toward the end of the year, when the House settlement was coming into focus, there was a kind of theory that the basketball schools like Providence, because they don't have football, can devote more of their revenue share to basketball than a Florida or a Texas, for example. And, you know, that's an advantage for the Big East. That seems to be somewhat gray. Do you think it's an advantage for Providence?
Yeah, well, if the cap is what it is, and Knapp and I talked about that as this was happening, we kept doing the economics of it. If the number is $22 million, and I know for a fact how important Tennessee football is, how important SEC football is, they're getting a big chunk of that pie, which leaves a sliver to basketball, to women's basketball, to Tony Vitello, baseball, volleyball, every sport in the SEC. I mean, women's soccer, every sport in the SEC is just, they want that little piece of that pie. It's obviously there's no football in the Big East. Connecticut has football. Yeah, we don't have to share the biggest chunk with football, so theoretically, but it's still going to be a challenge for this to be virtually an NBA model. In the NBA, there's a billionaire backing and a TV deal that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and rent at Madison Square Garden is $500,000 a night. So there's a lot of revenue in the NBA. It makes sense to share with the player. That's not the type of revenue that's happening in college athletics. So it's a trying time. It's a very, very scary time as a college basketball purist. As I like to say, I love, but I cannot commend Father Sicard, Nat, John Sweeney, Greg Waldron, Kevin Conley, every single person in this department, this institution, in the city, in the state that has backed us completely. And again, after a bad season, the support's gone up, and that's what you want to see. That's what you see amongst the best, and I'm excited to get this thing rolling.
Hey, last one, and it's going to be on the Kevin Mack Sports Hour, so all your outstanding answers, Steve, will be ready to go.
This whole thing?
Parts.
I'll say that's
just the highlights.
We're going to charge them. We're going to charge that.
Part of the revenue share
program. The revenue share. Call my people.
Yeah.
The players are about to get here. You just hired Sean Brown, who, God, I remember back in 1990, as your strength and performance coach. Maybe tell people what's looking forward to for the Friar Show this summer.
Yeah, guys start getting in tomorrow through Sunday. We'll meet Sunday night. We have a Friar Golf Classic at Warwick Country Club for all of our entire athletic department. Every team will be represented there. Student athletes from every team will be represented there. I feel like our biggest attended. I mean, most golf tournament, probably the most people.
30 foursomes, K-Mac.
Yeah,
Great.
a lot of
Great.
yeah. You know, if when we we have a respectable season, Napa always starts me on hole 1. You know, we were at Wingfoot. I had to start on hole 17B. You know, so I got to get better. The message sent. I got it.
Wow, that's
You
pretty.
know,
That's pretty strong.
17B.
Strong message.
Were you on the first hole?
1A.
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 Okay, all right.
17B. You know how long of a walk that is back?
That's right.
You know, from 16.
Did you get him a shuttle, anyways?
You know what's
It
interesting?
started raining.
K-Mac, you know what's interesting, though, as you talk about it for our fans, is it's really important in this landscape from collectives to, institutions, is we are, so everyone knows out there, we are keeping the Friar Family Collective open. Can still support that fully. The school revenue share, hopefully with the house settlement, starts July 1, where you can start giving directly to the schools.
Tax
Taking it
deductible.
It's, fully tax deductible, 100%. And we're going to be aggressive, K-Mac. If you look at the stuff we're doing with Nike, we're coming out with a fully branded Nike Friar shoe. That's going to be launched this week at the Golf Classic. Is every aspect of what we're doing will support the program. So our fans should know that we're being aggressive in every area we can be. So whatever way they want to support, and those golf tournament coach talks about, we'll raise roughly $1 million to support our programs through all these golf tournaments throughout the year. So that's why we do it. Coach and I like to battle on the golf course. He did give me a beating at Wingfoot, just so I'll put it out there. It was a full down beating, but at Misquamicut, I brought the game back to better form.
Yeah.
I don't think we want to break down Steve's game, do we?
I'm not
think
playing
so.
much golf this off season.
All right.
But,
Hey, Steve, I know that you usually have a season ticket holder party.
Yes.
This event is somewhat in lieu of that. Maybe you can say goodbye and tell people when that actually is going to be.
Listen, we're going to do it in September. We wanted all the student athletes to be here. It'll be just like we've done it, to make sure our season ticket holders know how grateful we are. The details will be coming out this summer for them. But this was just a little tease. I know people love to hear from Coach, and with everything going on in college athletics, this was a little insight. And Kev, we're grateful to you for your idea and wanting to moderate this.
Happy we got it done. And see everybody. Well, these guys I'll be on the golf links. I don't know about you guys.
So, thank you, Friar Town.
Go Friars.